Helldiver, Chapter 10. One of the hardest sequences in the game. The return to the Ishimura. What we're going to do here, guys, is we have a fight against two brutes, and I have an incredibly powerful boundary here. And how this is going to work is I'm going to throw a box at this dude until he dies. It's not the most interesting strategy, but it's incredibly effective, especially when it comes to saving ammunition. What happens here is if he starts a charge, you will not interrupt it with the box. So if he starts a charge, if you back up, he will rotate away from you and he will begin to leash. Then if you step forward, his aggro will trigger again, he'll turn around and he'll come for you. We're going to manipulate him so that he eats nothing but box and does not charge. If you let him charge, he will hit you and you will die. And then once he's dead, moving forward, we will do the exact same thing to his friend. I would love to do something creative here, guys, and something cool, but the brutes are too strong, and they have too much HP to really do anything to them. I've already showed you me taking on a brute where I took his leg and then I fired his projectile at him. You know, I don't have the ammo to shoot them 1v1 because I have no upgrades on a base plasma cutter, so the best thing that we can do is to introduce him to the Amazon warehouse. One box at a time. And it's incredibly effective. And once you see this, guys, your fear for brutes will go down by 1000%. Because if you do this, he cannot move. You are essentially stun locking him, but it gets to a point where you push him so far back that getting the box back to you can be quite a delay and he can start his charge. And it's just incredibly effective. But if you want to keep Dead Space as a horror game and you don't want the fear to go away, then this is not something you should either be watching or doing. Because the moment you do this, they turn into a joke. And then here's the second one, which I'm going to speed up, guys. So all I did is I went over to him, I aggroed him, I came all the way back, and then I just sped me throwing the box up at him. And as you can see, it's the exact same concept. And I think I put this on something like 600% speed or something, it's insane. And there he goes, and that's two dead brutes in the space of a few minutes. You'll never look at brutes the same again, but they are funny. And now I'm going to be using every sweeping brush I can find to take out the two slashers here that spawn. And then if you watch it, there's a guy running at you from 900 weeks away, but don't pick the spotlights out, because then you'll have not a weapon nor any view of what the hell is happening. But there's the enhanced slasher. He's the one you want to try and get some damage for, but of course I can't pick anything up here but arseholes and elbows. And instead we're just going to make him dance up against the wall until he drops something and then fire his own arm back at him, which is pretty damn ungrateful. But this is a hell dive and we don't give a shit because these demons need absolute annihilation and that's all we've got to give. And here comes the pregnant too. I think this is the end of the spawn here, so I take his leg, I grab another limb, and then I get really unlucky there where I fire at him. It doesn't look like it's on his stomach, but apparently it was. So instead we have to throw an enhanced necromorph at these creatures to stop them from being arseholes. But then there's an arm there. All kinds of weird things to throw. But this monster, if you could redesign this monster, guys, what would you do? Because I would just go into the source files and fucking delete them. They do nothing. They're so pointless. It's the strangest thing. I just can't understand the validation for what this is meant to be. Like, I don't understand why they're not just a QTE, and if you're successful, they don't hurt you, and Isaac just gets rid of them. But speaking of difficult, this is probably, I think, the hardest fight in the game that you can completely skip and not engage with. The spawn here is so oddly dynamic and demanding because the environment is really limited, and there's a lot of enemies here, and they never seem to do the same thing twice. And I wanted to get some really cool stuff on this corridor, but just then, that wasn't supposed to happen like that. He's supposed to come out of here, and instead he was behind me. Like, if you know this room, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I've done this room several times, and every time it's different. And I think that that's really cool, you know, just casually. But when you're trying to get a run like this, which is curated gameplay of awesome moments, it just feels weird. It feels awkward and uncooperative. I feel like a speedrunner blaming RNG, and I don't want to do that, you know? So if this is different to your room when you come in here, guys, welcome to my world. The only thing that seems to be consistent is this naked slasher over here. This dude is always here. And of course, some of those pregnants always turn up. And at the start, it seems to always be a combination of the lurker and the puker. And this guy, I talked about this guy on my stream. So I came over into this room after I did that other room, and he was behind me, so I loaded the checkpoint, and it turned his AI off, and he was stood there, and I couldn't kill him. He wouldn't react, and he wouldn't aggro. So I continued with the game, I did that next room, and then when I came back, he activated, so I threw some carpets at him, and it turns out he wasn't interested. And then we have decontamination, which is a very dangerous room. This room is fun as hell, but you've got to be really careful, because the final wave has two enemies together in a small space that you've never fought before. And it starts off with a bunch of everybody's favourites, which is the pack, but here comes the enhanced slasher, and there's the puker. So these two guys, if they give you a bad pattern, they can be bad news bears. But it's bad news for them because I'm picking up saws and blades, and there's another enhanced slasher. This guy is a problem. I somehow hit his head, and there's the second spawn, you see that? Black puker. Black puker, black enhanced slasher. Thankfully they were offset just then, so I can deal with both of them. But I do run out of ammunition. And I think this is the first time in the gameplay you've seen me run out of ammo. And I haven't actually run out of ammo because I've got some in my bank. But as far as my restriction goes and how I'm playing, I had to get creative then. And creativity turned out to be just getting lucky enough to pick up some plasma rounds to kill him. But this is the point, guys, where I started dropping the ammo. Because when I ran out then, I didn't want to skip the fights. I wanted to fight. And of course, if I don't have bullets, I can't fight. And if you don't know that manipulation, I didn't know it myself specifically until Khan explained it to me. And I don't know if this is new, I'm assuming somebody knows. But the idea, guys, is if you dump your ammo from your inventory so that you have no ammo on yourself, whenever you open a dynamic item, like a locker or one of those foot lockers, or if you stamp on a necromorph, they will drop the weapon ammunition that you're holding. So in this round, when we're using a plasma cutter, if I drop my ammo and I stamp on this necromorph, he will always, almost always give me plasma rounds. If I open a locker, it will always give me plasma rounds because the engine notices I don't have any and it has to give me a chance. And all you do is you pick it up and then you go to the next dynamic thing and you dump all your ammo again, so you've got nothing on you, and you pick it up and you get it back. And if you do that through the entire game, you will have more ammo than God and it will never be a problem. But I don't really want to do that personally because it kind of goes against what I'm trying to do here. But I didn't want to skip fights, so I'm going to do it, and hopefully, because I'm being transparent, you know now what's going on. And speaking of skipping fights, I'm going to skip this one because this one's a pain in the ass. And it's only a pain in the ass because it's so claustrophobic. I don't like any fight like that when it's just like three dudes at the end of a corridor because you can't really do anything cool. My main motivation to come back to Dead Space 2 is because I was so disappointed in the remake of Dead Space 1. But additionally, I wanted to do fancy things where I was flicking around and making the gameplay really fast. I wanted to be able to like have necromorphs on 3 different clock points and just move between them and just make it look effortless. And then one of the hardest fights you come up against is 3 necromorphs at the end of a corridor directly in front of you because there's just so many of them. So it kind of goes against the style of what I'm looking to do here, but look at him duck that like a hero. You can duck it all you want, son. I'm just going to keep firing this bucket at you. The Bucket Olympics, and unfortunately, you're the heavy bag right now. Look how strong they are, though. You know what's really funny here, guys? If you've played Callisto Protocol, this game figured out what Callisto Protocol failed to understand 10 years before Callisto Protocol existed. If you give players access to telekinesis that is incredibly powerful, you have to limit its potential or it completely ruins the balance of your game. Some people might argue throwing a bucket at a necromorph for 10 minutes is ruined balance, but I don't think it is. Because most people won't do it, and the people who do will get so annoyed at it that they'll fight it normally anyway. However, when you play Callisto Protocol, you just grab an enemy and throw him on an IKEA wall and you've won. And you can do that the whole game. And it never ever... They never stopped for a moment to think, maybe this is too strong. And then you have people that talk about how stasis in these games is too strong, yet you don't have to use it, you know? You literally don't have to use it, whereas in Callisto Protocol, the combat's really unfun. The melee is not fun. The shooting's not fun. So the only thing you've really got left is to pick dudes up and throw them into fans. And that's like the most fun you're going to have in the game. Whereas in this game, every playstyle is fun, including stasising things into oblivion. So it's just interesting, isn't it, that people like to say that, like, you have to use this. Like, some people will tell you that when you play Dead Space, you have to use stasis. You have to. The game's designed around it. And I'm telling you, you can do what you want. The game's designed around a lot of things. Speaking of design, this room is hard. I think this is one of the most demanding rooms in the run. And it's just because of leapers again. Every time a leaper turns up, things go to shit. And if you don't know the spawn here, guys, it's when you move this platform that I'm on, he comes out of the vent on the right. There he is, see him? And you'll notice that this is a enhanced leaper. This is why I'm being so tentative, because you have to be very careful with this monster. And I didn't expect to do this so quickly, so this is one of my early attempts, and that's the reason why it's so scared. And it's mostly out of respect for this monster, but I wanted to show you this too. He has a boundary on that lift, so when he runs towards you, if you back away, he will run back to his own spawn, and you can use this to control him. Of course, he's a tank, and he just does not get interrupted sometimes. But once you know that boundary is there, you know you're safe. And if you're playing with all the upgrades, you can lay bombs, you can do detonator mines, you can do all kinds of fun things. Or, you can throw a tin of paint at him till his head falls off. But there's more than one here, guys, and that's why this is hard. This is not hard because it's enhanced leapers. This is hard because they want you to do multiple leaper fights on one checkpoint, and the checkpoint, in my opinion, is a bit shit. I think the checkpoint should be at the bottom of the elevator, because right here, you could have had a couple more enemies and made it a bit more interesting, but instead they go for a longer, more drawn-out, tense checkpoint, and I find those checkpoints that aren't very fun, personally. I think you should be able to just quick save in this game and make your own checkpoints. But the moment you touch this lift, shit kicks off. And right here, because I don't know the spawns, I'm curious when it's going to happen, and I'm kind of waiting on it, because I know where they come from, I just don't know when. And the music's going nuts when nothing's happening. There's just a dude in the background on a fiddle just having a right day. And it's all fake news. None of this is real. Nobody spawns here unless you touch that lift. And the moment you touch it, things start to happen. But do you hear the noises? Do you hear it? All that is fake news. It's an enemy that spawns, runs across and kills itself. But he turns into a weapon now, because we can use his limbs as weapons. But be careful putting objects on lifts that move, because sometimes they will phase through it, and sometimes they'll be left where they were when the lift starts to move. Game time, anyhow. So pick up the limb, and the spawn's going to be the bottom left there. I think occasionally the place he comes from can change, but he seems to always favour that one. Take his arm, and then kill him, and then grab his tail if you can. His tail is your weapon against the next one, which is him. So immediately we hit him, and he falls down, but we don't delimb him. So you need to... He wants to get on the wall here, though, and I get really lucky and he dies. There's his limb. And I believe that there's one more, potentially, when we turn off the battery. And he's the one that's going to make you reset. He's the one that got me. And that's the reason why I played this room a lot more tentatively, just because the checkpoint's not so great. And when you're messing with leapers, you're rolling dices. So take the battery out, and the moment you do it, grab the weapon. But I think you need to walk onto where it is before it triggers, because they don't want you to get too antsy. Oh wow, look at that. Oh my goodness. What a sneaky necromorph. And there he is, you see him? I'm glad that was in the run, guys, because you can bet your ass I wasn't expecting that. How did I miss just then? Madness. But this room doesn't look like much, other than me getting quite lucky when that necromorph tried to grab me. But I'll tell you now, guys, this is the kind of stuff that makes it a lot harder than the other ones. And it's just because of the threat of a leaper. If you've never played the game like this, you have no idea just how bad that monster can be when you don't have the tools to shut him down. It's all about utility. And being able to stasis, being able to just do enough damage to shut them down immediately, you don't really appreciate just how dangerous a monster can be until it doesn't stop coming, you know? Until it doesn't stop trying to kill you. But I'm going to skip this room because the sensitivity's terrible. And it's only a couple of needless lurkers. And I'm going to grab some items because I'm still tight. But that's the end of this part of the dive, guys. I'll see you in the next chapter. All we have to do now is run past this area of stalkers, slap a puker, and then get the hell out of Dodge. And this looks really easy, but it's not. So don't feel too bad if you get hit a few times trying to do this. Thank you for watching. You take care now.